Hey y'all, hi. So today's video is just a little lark. My mom is here for Mother's Day. My sister lives nearby. And so we decided to sit down and answer some questions that I solicited on Instagram. If you like this, then sorry. It's like a one-time only thing. But if you aren't subscribed and you've been watching,
we would really like you to subscribe.
I thought you were going to say, we would really like to get into the meat of the video.
I really am begging. I'm begging you to subscribe.
My mother is begging you.
Because, they're having a baby.
Wow.
Emotional blackmail.
Let's go ahead and get into the meat of the video.
People use words that don't make any sense, like extra strength toilet paper. I mean, it doesn't have any strength. Or here's the one, powerful toilet paper. Powerful absorption. Absorption is a passive thing, and power is an active thing.
It's like they're messing up their parts of speech in order to market toilet paper. That's the problem.
It went from a regular roll of toilet paper, which didn't have the word regular in it. It was just your roll of toilet paper. To ultra. Now they're ultra rolls. And then the next thing is they're mega rolls. And they say things like the equivalent of 4 regular rolls. You're like, what's a regular roll? Look at the packages on the shelf, and they all say 12 rolls, the equivalent of 36 rolls. What do you do with that? And marketing like that is just off the scale. If it's a mega roll, what's going to be the next level?
It seems like ultra would be
mega.
Bigger than mega.
But I'm pretty sure we're at mega.
Oh. Okay.
Sorry. You got to go to the grocery store and look around.
Ellie, you've got to go to the grocery store.
I'll try it. I'll try a grocery store.
But if you watch, everything is like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's my rant about using words that don't really make any sense. And I'm glad I can contribute to your amusement.
Do your mom and sister watch all your videos?
I watch some of the videos.
I watch some of them.
For about 10 minutes.
Depending on exactly what the subject is, I watch the whole thing or not.
I don't think of anyone I know in real life as watching my videos.
I feel like it would be distracting when you're trying to being like, is it okay if mom hears me say that? I feel like that would be weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have kind of a mental block, which is just to say I'm not mad at it. Someone says, how are all your makeup styles similar and different?
My makeup style is different in that I never wear makeup. And so it was really interesting to have a child that was that different in terms of from the time she was the tiniest child, cared about how the belt looked on her dress. Was it tied right? Was it in the right spot? And she definitely wanted to wear high heels and fingernails and make at a way too young an age. Ever since I left high school, honestly, I have not worn makeup. And I haven't wanted to. It became an interesting journey to acknowledge that not only did beauty and beautiful things and beautiful clothes make Hannah very happy, but she really had a gift from the very beginning of what it meant and what fashion was. And all I could do as a mother was sit back in awe and say, whoa, look at you.
Pretty much all the makeup I own is makeup that Hannah has given me.
What would you say is your makeup style?
I mean, I do wear makeup, but it's mostly like for professional, like enough makeup to feel like I look professional. But then I've also gotten enough in the habit that I wear it even. It's not like I only wear makeup to work. Very minimalist, I would say.
Mm-hmm. What's your favorite makeup product?
Oh, I don't know. I've really been enjoying those Merit lip tint gloss.
The oil.
The like neutral color. I can put it on without looking in the mirror because I'm not good at putting on lipstick without looking in the mirror. So I can like carry it around with me and put it on.
Name a way in which you three are most alike and name a way in which you are different.
Ooh.
How are we alike?
We have a great sense of humor. Just in the last hour since Ellie came over, we have not stopped laughing.
Sometimes I think that things that in other families would cause strife in the moment don't cause strife between us because each of us has a sense of humor about herself.
They were teenagers at some point. I remember going to the bathroom one time and Hannah was grooming herself and I said, "You are so beautiful." And you said, I hate it when you sing. And I laughed, and I just laughed in your poor little face. It was and eventually I think you started laughing too.
And it comes to like not taking yourself too seriously, not taking each other too seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think some mothers would be like, they'd choose it as a reason to be mad, looking for friction. And instead of looking for friction, we're defaulting to humor some of the time.
And not always. It's not like we never.
We've all had very different career paths from each other, all three.
How do you
You're good at math.
I like to think of my relationship with math as an unwillingness.
I'm willing
more
to
than
do that.
It's more than that. You inherited from me. That's tragic.
Unwillingness. I think also you have pursued, Ellie, an intellectual and power of the mind career that is, it's not in the arts.
But you also have both spent more time in and been more interested in like academia than I ever was.
Although I think of you as the one who, by the time you went to college, you revealed yourself as a scholar. You became a scholar of
And then by the time I was
history.
out of college, I was like, I'm done with this.
Well, for a while. And then you went into law school, and you really had to be a scholar in law school, a scholar of law. So that's odd. I mean, it's weird that you think that, because I think of you as the person who really is, of all of us, the most scholarly, but... But I understand what you're saying about you. That doesn't mean you necessarily love it.
Yeah, and maybe it's more the humanity. Maybe like academic isn't the right thing. Maybe
But
it's
is
more
it
the
law
humanities. I don't really think of it as the
You don't?
Because,
Okay, well, then that's the
it's a
answer.
professional
Aside,
school.
you didn't really not love school. You did not love it, the parts you did not want to do.
Exactly. And I wanted to do the things I wanted to do so passionately. I was just like, I'm wasting my time. Like, get me out of here so that I can study poetry really intensively and art. It's not that I didn't want to apply myself. It's that I knew what I wanted to apply myself to. And I had to do math instead.
If we're talking about academics, I love school. I would still be in school.
Interesting.
And yeah,
you
I
have
wouldn't
like a love
describe
of
either-
learning
Yeah,
for
I
the
have
sake
a
of,
love
for its
of
own sake.
Learning. I love sitting in a classroom and having someone who knew a lot more about a subject than I did tell me. That was, to me, blissful.
Because you're pure. And you and we're impure.
I feel like that's the biggest
it.
difference for Mom.
I'm
She's
sure.
pure, unlike us.
Y'all are sullied.
What's your favorite swear word or phrase?
I have a new one.
What is it?
Do you know the Middle English poem, Summer is a-Comin' In? Sing loud.
Not intimately.
Something,
Not
sing
by
loud.
heart.
Sing loud. Summer is a-Comin' In. Sing loud. I don't know what the word is, but Cousin Susan is like, it's so cold. It's winter. Sing loud, goddamn. Sing loud, goddamn. And of course, we each know the reference. Let's cut that out.
We're not cutting that out.
Definitely keep that in.
My cousin is staying with me right now. And so anytime anything happens, like I stub my toe, I'm just like, sing loud, goddamn.
This is one for your mom and sister. What was Hannah like as a kid?
She was chatty. She was also incredibly loving and always, yes, incredibly loving, willing to engage, even as she became a teenager, willing and eager to engage. And I also felt you were observant. You were observing everything.
Ellie, what did you think? What do you think I was like?
You were like as a child? I mean, I feel like you were, for the most part, a very good big sister. I was thinking recently, actually, about the fact that you were never like, I feel like it's a big sibling thing to be like, get out of my room.
Yeah.
Like not wanting the younger sibling to be like part of their life. But I actually, so much of my like music taste and like movie taste and stuff came from having you as an older sister, and you were always like wanting to share cool stuff.
We hung out a lot.
And we hung out a lot
Yeah.
as kids and even into being teenagers. And that was great. But you were kind of bossy as an older sister.
Quite true.
You
was
did like to
probably-
get your way.
I did like to get
always wanting
I like to get my
what
way.
you wanted and not really caring if other people didn't
And then
get what
when
they
I was in
wanted.
between 5th and 6th grade, I made an executive decision over the summer to not care so much about getting my way because I felt like it was
not mow down your classmates on the way to getting
There's a
your
little
way.
bit.
I felt like it was holding me back in my interpersonal relationships.
So it wasn't again meanness. It was
Very
just that-
self-reflective as a child.
So another thing, though, to say about you as a child, that's a good thing.
Doesn't have to be good. They probably want the
From
tea.
a very, there's two. I have to say this about bossy. I remember somebody, it was a man, and I would name him, but I won't. And
he probably watches.
Very close friend of ours, but he was, he was forthright. He said what he was thinking. And we were together a lot with our kids, and one time he described you as bossy. He said you were bossy. Don't you think Hannah's a little bossy? And I said, if Hannah were a boy, you would say he has great leadership abilities.
Slay.
And instead, you called her bossy, and you need to stop doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And to his credit, he said, you're right. He was also a teacher. He was around a lot of, and you're right.
Assertive.
And he had a daughter. He had 2 daughters.
Assertive. Mm-hmm. We had 2 daughters. Who do you think it was? A teacher who had 2 daughters.
Who was bossy himself, actually. He was really bossy.
Now
he was
feel
he had
self-conscious
strong
for using bossy.
But I have to say, I think it's perfect because it's true. It's absolutely
I can issue
true.
an apology.
You can make an apology video.
Yeah.
I need to say,
I was assertive. What are your favorite novels? Oh, this is my friend SB asking this question. Hi, SB. Love you.
I always answer To Kill a Mockingbird. I always answer that. I've read it so many times, and every single time it's like, this is a crazy good. This is amazing, and it's everything about America.
I always say Bel Canto by Ann Patchett, one of my favorite novels. I've read it a million times, but it's been a really long time since I read it. But recently, I reread The Dispossessed by Ursula Le Guin, which you told me about. I read it for the first time a few years ago, and then I read it again recently, and I think it's inching up there.
Wow.
On Bel Canto. It's so great.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Wow, I've never read Ursula
You've
Le
never read
Guin.
it?
Never.
Are you into sci-fi? I've learned recently that there's really sci-fi people who can't get into it.
And that's what happens. I read it and I think, I know this is an allegory and I know this should relate to me, but it's like I can't relate any of this.
I mean, it's worth a try.
Hearing you say it, maybe it's that, maybe I need to find a book to start with.
Maybe it's the gateway.
Yeah, and I do think it's a good gateway. And it just feels, I don't remember when it was written, it must have been in the 80s, but it's insane how contemporary it feels. Like, that's what's so impressive about it.
My favorite novel is My Name is Asher Lev by Chaim Potok. I also haven't read it in quite a while, but I read it a lot as a young person. It's because it's about a little boy who is just possessed with a passion to be an artist. But he's been born into a community in which painting as a career is just unheard of, and it's a real challenge to his family who loves him and wants him to be happy, to try to honor this bizarre level of intense focus on art. It was like a distilled, purified version of what I felt I was going through as a young person, of just being like, I know what I'm meant to be doing, so why am I being asked to do all of these other annoying things? But it's also just beautifully written. I mean, Chaim Potok is one of our greatest novelists. What is each person's favorite skincare product?
Well, the winter's now over, but in the winter, I really live for the Good Molecules hyaluronic acid serum. It's really goopy.
There's a very inexpensive olive oil soap from Lebanon. And you're going to make me think of the name of it.
It's okay. We can put it in the description box. Where do you buy it?
I can see it right in front of me. I buy it at our local co-op, our local food co-op.
Because you're an icon.
But I love it. It's olive oil soap, and it's from the Middle East, so it's not even really very scented, but it doesn't have any artificial things in it or all those things soap sometimes has, so I really love it.
I don't know what mine is. I can't use retinol. Prescription retinol saved my skin, but I had to stop using it when I got pregnant. I've been using Sunday Riley Good Genes again, kind of to take the place of retinol. So right now I'm really on that. Are you all surprised that HLP is a beauty YouTuber?
I mean, yes, but also no. Like, would I have guessed? No, because I didn't know what that was.
I really didn't know what it was until Hannah was already pretty successful.
Don't you still call it your television show? I feel like you still are like, I was watching your show. I was watching your show the other day.
I did say that. That's true.
No, you say it a lot.
So the answer is to, are you surprised HLP is a beauty YouTuber? Is what is a beauty YouTuber?
I have a question that came through in a YouTube comment. So it's Victoria. She says, could you do a video about how your parents raised you in the sense of fostering your creativity and sense of self? I know everyone is unique, but do you have any tips from your own lived experience that you would give to a parent looking for that kind of advice?
I had realized pretty early on that I needed to sort of sit back and watch and not try to direct too much. Obviously, you direct a child out of danger. But in terms of creativity, I was always sitting back and watching. I didn't push it. I just didn't get in the way. I did buy you a lot of art supplies.
True.
I always felt growing up, and have reflected on this many times, that you and Dad did a very good job of like, it never felt like you had an idea of like who you wanted us to be or what you wanted us to do. It always felt very like you were going to be supportive no matter what. That's like kind of step one, is just being like, oh, we love you and we'll support you no matter what. But then there wasn't even like a hint of sort of like, oh, I think Mom and Dad will be like more proud of me if I go to this school versus this school, or if I study this, or if I go to law school. You would talk about law school and your friends who went there and how much they loved it, but it would only be if I brought it up first. So yeah, I feel like you really did do that thing of watching when you would observe things that you thought we would be good at or be successful in, you would foster it. But it wasn't like, I've always wanted my child to be a doctor and I'm going to like reinforce that. You were always very, I guess now I realize, intentional about it's not being about you, but about wanting to.
I remember you like, wow, look at you, look at that. And it wasn't because you were doing something spectacular. It was, this is who you are. I mean, you did do. When I did talk to you about law school at some point, it was only when you were already, graduated from college for several years. And what I said was, I think you are going to really enjoy law school. I was sure you were going to really like the study of the law. That comes from observation. That comes from just that willingness to observe. I wouldn't say that to you. I wouldn't say that to a lot of people. And I think on a good level, you did.
Yeah, and it's impressive, I think, that you were able to do that observation without bringing your own. Like, I mean, maybe to some extent you did.
I wanted you to be happy and not in the sense of I want to give them everything they want because in the moment they're going to be happy. I wanted to foster what I thought would make them happy, not what would make me happy.
That's the
100%
key. Because I think a lot of people, everyone wants their children to be happy, I think. But but I think that it is very difficult for people to distinguish between what makes them happy and what will make other people happy. And then I think when it's your own children, it becomes even harder to make that distinction because it's difficult not to project onto your own children.
Yeah.
The first step to that is sitting back and observing and taking it for granted that we are really different people from you. And saying, well, I'm going to first have to learn from this person what will make him or her or them happy. And then I will be able to be an ally in that project. I think that a lot of parents skip that first step. I learned that later. But speaking with my friends and, talking about our childhood experiences, I learned later how lucky I had been to have parents who engaged in that first step and who didn't assume that they knew what would make me happy. It extended into adulthood. I mean, I think it's very important in childhood that we didn't feel boxed in any way, but also when I was making wild choices in my mid-20s, no parent was like, but how are you going to make money?
And it's not because we were supporting you or even thinking we would support you at all. It was just...
No, I was just living on a shoestring in the basement of a tango studio. But I just didn't ever feel that sense like, I'm living my best life and I trust myself, but my parents are back home stressing out about my choices, and every time I talk to them, I have to kind of hide half of the truth. Like, there was never any of that. And I think it took an effort. I mean, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you made an effort. It wasn't just because you were like, la la la, we trust Hannah and Ellie so much. No, it's like all parents, I think you were like chewing your fingernails over there, being like, is Hannah ever going to get it together? You chose to keep that from me because you didn't want that energy in my life. And by doing that, it meant that the energy I did get from you and Dad was of this kind of unconditional trust and support, even though I think some of it was a little bit of a sleight of hand. Something that I really really think about a lot and I'm appreciative of. Because so many other creatives that I know have been just fettered their whole lives by a sense that they're letting down their families or stressing out their families, and they're having to work against that energy in order to manifest their work. And it's hard enough. It's hard enough to make it work as a creative. And there are already enough people judging, being like, well, what's your real job? You know what I mean? To have your parents who, no matter what, subconsciously, they're always the people you most want to impress, to not have them in that camp, but to always be able to say, they're going to be fine no matter what I do, you know. Oh my gosh, what a gift. And I think it makes all the difference. It could be that for me, it literally made all of the difference and that I wouldn't have been able to do it if you had shared with me that parental anxiety.
That's good to know, because I had it. I mean, I didn't have it constantly, and maybe not on the scale some people do. But there's a happy medium. If your child is, you know, hurting himself or herself or on the road to doing that, I can't say I never tried to steer you in a different way. I'm glad you don't remember
even if you
it.
did, I feel like I can think of instances where I felt like you were trying to steer, but it was always in like a gentle and supportive way. In like a let's talk through this. And I feel like you would ask questions like, is that really going to make you happy? Which like obviously would be weighted, but still feels very different from being like, you're going to be miserable if you do that.
Yeah, it was very
Or
like,
I'm
if
not,
all your friends drove off
I'm
the bridge,
gonna
would
not.
you too?
That was a frequent question that we were asked.
All right, I guess we should sign off. Thanks for watching. What do I usually say? I sort of don't feel like I'm filming a normal video.
Like and subscribe.
The thing about being the best in the world, do you want to just say that, or do you want this to be the best in the world?
You know how you always end your videos by being like, just remember, I'm the best in the world. Everybody have a good evening.
Don't you say that beautiful thing. Remember to do it.
I want you to say it.
I'd have to have it in front of me. And finally, don't forget to take extra care of yourself. You know, extra care.
Extra good care.
Extra care is actually a phrase that gets printed on toilet paper. Finally, don't forget to take extra good care of yourself so that you can, I should have asked before I started again, what's the rest? So that you can be the most effective version of yourself as you do your work in the world. Wow, that was amazing.
All right, we have this laid out.